Village of Bartlett, Counties of Cook, DuPage, and Kane at 7:01 p.m. Please call the roll.
Mike Werden. George Koziel.
Here.
Bob Bucaro.
Here.
Patty Hansen.
Here.
Robert Carney.
Here.
Linda Hansen.
Here.
Joe Bono.
Here.
At this time, we need to approve the minutes of the November 6, 2014 meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the Zoning Board of Appeals minutes from November 6, 2014.
Second.
I hear a motion by Pat, a second by Robert. At this time, please call the roll.
Yes.
Bob Bucaro.
Yes.
Linda Hansen.
Yes.
Robert Carney.
Yes.
Joe Bono.
Abstain.
George Koziel.
Yes. The first item on the agenda is case number 14-28, Carriers at 310 West North Avenue. Are the petitioners present?
Yes.
Do we have evidence of the mailings, pictures of signs, and copy of notice in the newspaper? Are there any additional documents?
No, those are the only documents. We have the public hearing notice that was published in the newspaper. We have the proof that the public hearing sign was posted on the property, and we have the mailing list of everyone who received notice within 250 feet.
Please mark the exhibits A, B, and C. Will the petitioners come to the microphone at the podium to present your case? Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm that the evidence and testimony that you are about to give is only the whole truth?
Yes.
Please clearly state your name and address for the record.
Charles C. Carrier, 310 West North Avenue, Bartlett, Illinois 60103.
At this time, please present your case.
Okay. I sent a letter. I had hired a company to build a garage after I had done a driveway. During the construction of the driveway project, they informed me that the garage was dilapidated and it was actually going to fall apart. There was rotten boards along the sides and in the front. During the excavation process, they actually, when they pulled part of the driveway up, the concrete underneath the garage had given way, and there was a huge 3-foot hole. So I basically felt at that point I was going to build a garage. I knew I was going to anyway. I was hoping that I would just be able to do siding and just keep it, but it didn't turn out that way. And when I was talking about it, they said they were general contractors, that they could bring in a crew that would take care of it for me, that I wouldn't need to look further for any kind of, help in doing that. I went and got quotes anyway. Theirs was the best quote I could get. So I had them go ahead and start the construction on the garage. I gave them my drawings, and I'm a computer technician. I don't know anything about construction. I have no idea what I'm doing as far as that's concerned. And basically what I gave them wasn't this, but it was a Excel spreadsheet type of document with certain heights, because I got an RV, and I know you guys, the village doesn't want RVs in the driveway. They need to be enclosed. Originally, it was supposed to be on a pad that was a side of the old garage, but since the garage fell apart, I'm like, okay, we'll just build it so I can park the RV in the garage. And so I drew it with a 12-foot door, knowing that that would be how high it would have to be to clear the RV, and gave them a rough idea of how high it was supposed to be, and I gave that to the guys who was supposed to build this. And they were supposed to bring that to their person who was supposed to be giving architectural drawings and do real drawings and give that to the village to get the building permits and stuff like that. And they assured me that they did these things. I had called the building department A couple days later, talked to a Dave in there. He said that they were in there. They had given some kind of drawings, but I didn't really clarify with him exactly what drawings he got and how big they were and how they were presented to him. Anyway, so they started the construction after they demolished the old garage and took that away. My drawings were in error. I have a 34-foot RV, and I only made the garage 34 feet. I didn't know you had to compensate for the 2 feet of whatever you call them, the boards that go up and down. And so my drawings were messed up. They said they were too short. They were by 6 feet. And I was like, okay. And they were supposed to come in and clarify that with the building department, make sure that they understood that it was going to be longer than it normally was supposed to be, and apparently they did not. And then one thing led to another. They had finished the project, sort of, halfway finished it. Then they left, and I have not seen them since November, and I've been chasing them ever since. I've got a police report on them. I'm going to have a state's attorneys. I reported them to them. I reported them to the building code people, and I'm going to be going to the Cook County State's Attorney's Office to press charges for fraud because they ripped me off quite a bit of money. This is what's left. I was talking to the building people because I didn't want to leave this gaping hole, and I talked to them about putting doors on there and what I should do, and they're like, well, I don't care. We're only concerned about the height. So, because apparently the median point, whatever the heck that means, is too high by a couple feet. And so I put the doors on there to at least make it look nice, so presentable, so it wouldn't look like a piece of garbage hanging halfway done. But there's still some cosmetic work that needs to be done that they took off on me. Then when I submitted the report to have the variance for the height, because that's all that the guy in the building department said to look for, Mike says, well, now it's 2 feet over. Okay, I didn't even know it was, because it's built right on the exact same footprint as the old garage. You know, I don't know what else to tell you other than I've tried to do everything in my power to make sure that the building was supposed to be built the way it was supposed to be. I've contacted the village building department on a regular basis. I got phone records that show that. Trying to make sure that they understood and everything was copacetic and everything was fine, and then I find out these things are wrong. And then I get the other report from the secretary, and I'm fuming because not only did they lie to me about some of the other things, they lied to me about, you know, some of these other things she has listed on here. I am not happy. I'm very ticked off. I was hoping that the village would help me during this whole building process. Because, like I said, I know computers. If you guys got computers that are dead, I can bring them back to life. But I don't know nothing about construction. Other than making phone calls, I don't know what else I was supposed to do to make sure that this garage was built right. The only thing I can do now is at least try to make it look as best I can, and that's why I put the doors up. And the building inspector said it would be okay to do that. To at least make it look like it's a decent garage. It's a lot better than the old one was. Like I said, the other one was very bad shape. The neighbors were all complaining about it as soon as I moved in. They're like, are you going to do something about the garage? And I said, well, eventually. But I didn't plan on doing it like it happened. But it's just, when it's falling down, I had no choice. I don't know what else to tell you. I've submitted all the stuff, so I don't know if you guys have any questions, or am I supposed to ask questions? Or they ask me questions, okay. That's basically all I have at this point, then, I guess.
Thank you. Question to staff. Have you received any phone calls, emails, comments, feedbacks on this property? To staff.
We did receive one phone call that I am aware of. It was just more of an inquiry, and it was a neighbor who was sort of on the outer edge of the notification area. I seemed to answer his questions about the project, that weren't specified in the letter, and so he seemed satisfied. We did receive one email, which is in your packet, and actually in support of the two variants, or of the variance request.
Have we had any problem with any of the people he's chasing now, before?
Were they licensed in the village of Bartlett?
They came in, they did license themselves. However, from what they told me, and this is a quote from the guy who was in, don't ever send me these guys again. I don't want to deal with them. You call me. When they called me for the architect drawing for the plat of survey, they got it within a week or two. Everything the village builder inspectors asked me to do, I did right away. That's the way I like to do things. This is not the way I like to do things. I'm not happy with the way this turned out. But I'm trying my best to try to make sure that it's as best as I can make it. So I'm going to go back and try to make sure that I've got siding that's coupling, and I got to fix all this other stuff to make it look pretty and presentable, and you know.
Was your new garage built, you said it was built on the same footprint of what the old garage was?
Exactly the same footprint.
So even the depth and the length and everything?
No.
They extended that length.
The side where the red line is, that's where it is. But it is longer, or wider and longer than the other one was.
And they did a pre-pour inspection, correct? The village did?
They did a pre-pour inspection on the driveway only. From what I understand and what I read, they never did a pre-pour inspection on the foundation of this garage, which is really not making me too happy because I was told that there was one done.
Well, that's the start of the whole process. That's where I'm going with this. Because if they did a pre-pour inspection for the foundation of your garage, at that point they would have known where the structure was going to end. At which point this all could have been avoided after the fact, and it could have been brought to our attention at the beginning of the process.
Exactly, which is why I'm over here and I'm containing myself. But trust me when I tell you, I am very furious at the whole thing. It's like I did call the village and building inspectors, and I did make sure that they understood. Okay, did you get the drawings? You know this is going to happen, and so forth and so on. And so I don't know what else to do other than to come over here and drag them over there and say, can you do your pre-pour? Or did and quite frankly, I don't know if it's liable to say this and make it a record, but Cardinal Construction has been lying to me for a long time. And I didn't know exactly to the extent of it until after I got into it all the way.
Where are they located?
They're out of Geneva. And I looked on Home Life, which is where I did a web search for it. It's like the one that you get all these good construction people.
Yeah.
A question to staff, specifically, yes or no. Is a pre-pour inspection typically done?
Yes, and I can't speak for the building department because I don't work in that department, but I did all these dates you have in your staff memo were run by the building department. They've looked at these. These are all accurate dates based on records that are in the building permit file. And there is August 30th of 2013, as indicated, there was a pre-pour inspection, but it was not for the new garage. At that point in time, they didn't know there would be a new garage. It was for the slab where the RV would have, off to the side of the garage where the RV initially would have been parked. So that was the one pre-pour inspection. After that, the demolition occurred without a permit. The contractor did not pull a permit to take down the
next question.
Old garage.
Was a permit pulled before this all started?
No.
And
An application.
did he have a permit?
It was submitted, but
Did he have an approved application, an official permit?
No, not at that point.
Prior to
No.
the pour and construction?
No. So the original garage was taken down without a permit, and the new construction began somewhat early and before the permit was applied for the new garage. And then obviously there are a number of other dates. I'm not going to go into detail, but if there are questions, I can certainly go into them. But that was the starting point of all of this.
To the homeowner, In your letter to us explaining what's happened here, you said that Cardinal Construction obtained preliminary approval. What was this preliminary approval, and was it in writing?
It was not in writing, and when I called, I did not talk to Dave because Dave, I talked to Dave, the person that was here before. He said he saw it and was okay, but nothing was in writing. I didn't get anything in writing. I didn't even get quite frankly, I didn't get the building permit for the driveway until a month and a half after the driveway was already completed and done. And I don't know why I was given the permit after the fact instead of before the fact, because every other city I've been in, they have you hang that thing in the front window before the work starts. In the village of Bartlett, I was explained by the building inspector that that's not the case here.
Well, that is true. You don't have to have the permit hanging in the front window, but it does have to be available and presentable if necessary.
Yeah, and I never got one.
And the bottom line is that, yes, it was your contractor that did things without the permit. The bottom line is you're responsible for the correctness of having the permit and the correctness of having the architectural work approved. So it should have been approved by the building department. Any other questions, comments from the board?
What is the final size of the garage?
Excuse me?
What is the final size of the garage? The actual size right now?
I believe it's 36 feet long. There should be a plat of survey, a recent one, that has the exact measurements on there, including the side garage as well. 24.21 feet wide.
Oh, wide.
36.22 feet long. And the little garage was 10.58 wide in front, 10.51 in back, and then 21 feet long. That was a little side garage, the third car garage.
In the report, it's about 1,114 square feet. If you want the if you want the total square footage, it's 1,114.
I'm curious about the property to the right when you're facing the home. That would be 304 on West North Avenue. No comments from them? I mean, have they made comments about the encroachment of that rather large building on the property line?
Nope.
No phone calls, no letters, no emails.
It's also sitting where the old garage was.
Mm-hmm.
So other than the height, nothing changed to them. A question for you. In our notes, we have January 9th of 2014. The building department told you that the electrician was still not registered with the village.
Right, and then I called Cardinal, and then they said they sent somebody out. My wife told me that there was two guys outside in the garage looking at the electrical, and the next thing I know that they came here, and from what I was told by the building department, again, they had come in and they had registered and everything was fine now. So then they had to actually change some of the wiring, so it's like, okay.
And then in May 7th, it says the new garage is built. A note in the building department file indicates that the new garage is built but not completed. So were there any inspections done as far as framing, electrical?
No. The only thing that was done was the doors. I've been chasing them since April. I've got letters to them. I've got email records that I've been trying to chase them to put the doors on because they were contracted to do that. And quite frankly, they kept giving me one song and dance after another. They're going to do it. They're going to do it. And then they finally said, well, you know what? We have the doors, but since you owe us this amount of money, why don't you just pay the guys and then they'll do it, and then we'll pay you whatever's extra. And I sent them the bill, I sent them everything, and right now they're not even responding to my email. So basically they have totally blown me off. That's why I'm going legally and starting to do what I can to try to get after these guys, along with putting websites up and the internet, which I'll be glad to give you guys addresses to if you want them. and you can see everything.
We understand your concern about what was or wasn't done. That's really not pertinent to the issue here tonight.
Right.
I mean, that's for you to follow up and do whatever you think is necessary after the fact.
All I can tell you is the garage is in good shape. It looks decent. Now that the garage doors are on there, it actually looks real, and it's not an eyesore as far as I can see. The neighbors I've talked to don't have an issue with the garage, and they seem to be okay with it.
I have to admit, when I looked at the property, when I drove up, that garage looks almost as large as the house.
Almost, but it is smaller. It is smaller than the house.
It's one of the largest garages I think I've seen in a residential area.
Yeah, but a lot of people have garage envy, George.
Well, my neighbor actually, I kind of wish I had built it like theirs. Theirs is almost exactly the same height as mine and the same width. It looks like a barn versus a garage, and it might have been more aesthetically pleasing if I had built something like that versus this.
Mr. Carrier, did they do your concrete work for you also?
Yes.
It appears that the board discussion has ended. Are there any last comments from the board?
I think one thing in favor of it, the house kind of has a high peak anyway, and the fact that it sits back, it's not quite so noticeable unless you're really walking back there. I can't believe that the neighbors didn't complain, but maybe they were so excited to see the other one come down that they were pleased.
Everybody was, the first thing, I wasn't there for more than a week, and I was outside doing work, and I was having everybody, the neighbor next to me, the other side, and in front of me was saying things about the old garage, and was I going to be getting rid of it, and if I had plans for it. Apparently, they did not care for the older garage for whatever reason. I don't know why. It was a long garage. I don't know exactly how long it was. I think on the old Plata survey, it might have been on there. I think it was like 28 feet. So it was a longer garage as well.
For the record, besides the zoning violations, is there a problem with the construction or anything else? Does it meet standards?
I'm not able to speak for the building department, and my understanding is the only inspections, according to the records, were the pre-pour inspections for the slab.
Okay.
And there haven't been, the contractor never called in for inspections during the process, which is normally required.
So we really don't even know about the electrical.
So the purpose of the zoning process is to, if it's brought into compliance through the blessing of the zoning board and the recommendation to the village board, the building department would close out, would do a final inspection on it to make sure it met construction standards and then close out the file. But until this matter is resolved of the height and the encroachment into the required 5-foot setback, they have not done any inspections.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I did talk to them, and they have come out 3 or 4 times because they tried to measure the exact height and so forth and so on. So they have looked at it. I know the inspector has been out to look at these things. The only thing he told me he had an issue with was the height. It was some median height thing.
So as it stands right now, we don't know if the building department has done any inspections on this for framing, electrical.
Presume not.
They have not.
They have not.
Any other comments from the board?
I drove by the property, and it looks fine. Yeah, it is a little large, but being so far set back, and I think because the house next door to it has a high peak, it's not an eyesore.
And I think the third bay being pushed back gives it a much better look. If that third bay had been pulled forward, I think it would have really been gigantic looking.
I would agree. It gives it a little bit more personality,
right,
and less of a barn look.
It's been mistakenly looked at as a tool room, and I'm like, no, it's not a tool place. There's those saws in there. That's where the car goes. So But that is an idea.
Do you want a motion?
There was a time in the past we had a problem with, and we voted to tell them to tear the foundation out and redo it because it was so much of a violation. But in this case, I mean, you've had an unusual set of circumstances, and I can't believe that the people that have to look at it aren't commenting one way or another. To me, that makes quite a bit of difference if the ones that have to look at it all the time are not having a problem with it. And it is set back so far. You don't, it's not really that noticeable unless you're looking for it when you drive down the street. And if you're driving, you don't have time to be sightseeing.
I'm not supposed to.
You know, so I would be inclined to pass a favorable recommendation based on that. I'm not happy with it, but I think overall, making the best of the situation is all we can help you do. I mean, I wouldn't like to see a flat roof on there.
No.
And it would look funny to chop the peak off just to meet the height requirement.
I agree
I
with...
think if you flatten the peak in relation to the height, that may look a little out of proportion. So
Yes.
because of the uniqueness of this situation, and the fact that no one, especially the neighbor to the right, has made a comment negatively, I think that's a strong plus in your behalf.
Right. I couldn't vote for it if the neighbors were objecting because they have to look at it.
If there are no further comments from the board, I'd open to the public for any comments.
Real quick, with no comments, as everyone else, from your neighbors, you know, I don't see an issue with it. I rather like the garage envy, I would say. However, with the builders, there were several red flags between the communication of the building department and the builders that there should have been red flags all over this project from the beginning. And there was really no follow-up from what it sounds like from the building department while chasing down these guys. I have no problem with the structure. Your neighbors have no problems, obviously, without any comments from them negatively. I like the structure itself.
I have one question. For staff, is this lot, is it in compliance with the impervious surface rule?
It is.
Wow.
Well, it's a very large lot.
Yeah.
It's a half acre.
It's in the minutes. It's in your notes.
Apparently, there is no one in the public, in the audience tonight, so at this time, I would accept a motion.
I'll move to pass on a positive recommendation of approval to the board.
Second.
Positive recommendation by Mike and second by Pat for a positive recommendation being passed to the board. Please call the roll.
Mike Werden,
Yes.
Patty Hansen,
Yes.
Joe Bono,
No.
George Cosio,
Yes.
Robert Carney,
Yes.
Linda Hansen,
Yes.
Bob Carl,
Yes.
At this time, we're passing a positive recommendation to the village board. When will this come up at the next board meeting? Staff?
We're not sure yet. We'll have to, we'll let them know.
Okay.
We'll be in communication with the petitioner.
Stay in contact, Mr. Carrier. Please stay in contact with the staff to find out when it'll be presented before the village board.
Okay.
And that's the only item on today's agenda. Any old business or new business?
Your next meeting is scheduled for New Year's Day.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about that? Would you like to cancel that? So far, we have no...
Yes, I don't get
I'm not going to be here.
we know. So far, we have no cases assigned to that date, so if you want to go ahead and, if you're okay canceling that.
Okay.
I really don't want to
Board
be...
in agreement? Cancellation of the January meeting?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
If there's something, would we possibly move to the second Thursday? Or no,
Well, second Thursday is Plan Commission. Typically, if somebody comes in, we let them know that we probably would not have a quorum. we'd have to change the date.
Right.
And I really don't think anybody's going to come in.
No.
Typically, January is pretty dead,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
And the village isn't going to pay overtime for staff to come to.
We get no overtime.
okay, so you get to watch your average hourly rate go down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
okay.
yeah, but if that's okay, we'd like to cancel it, we'll send out a notice, we'll let you guys know, we'll remind you, and then
Perfect.
we won't even see Patty in February, so.
Right.
We're looking at spring.
Oh, poor Letty. Send us
Oh,
a
yeah,
picture of what you look
Linda.
like in case we forget.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
It's always Skype.
Move to adjourn?
Yeah, we could Skype in, right?
Oh, sure.
At this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved?
Motion to adjourn the meeting by Mike. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by
Uh,
Pat. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Meeting is adjourned.